Hang on. Hey! It's that time again. Time for stand-up. Let's see. Yeah, let's just do it. So, I actually did stand-up IRL recently. Stage and everything, real people. An actual comedy club. Yeah, I shat my pants. I shat my pants pretty hard. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I definitely learned a lot. But something I didn't expect or know about open mics, IRL, this particular one had judges. You know, like judges that, you know, they had a ton of stand-up comics go up, and then they had judges sitting in the audience to go like, you know, get the fuck off stage, get the fuck off stage. You suck, right? The audience isn't laughing enough, right? They have some like laugh-o-meter, and if the meter isn't high enough, they kick you off stage. They just cut you off in the middle of your set. The set is 4 minutes, by the way. So, yeah, so, you know, bias, I'm very biased, but even sitting in the audience and watching stand-up, because I love watching stand-up, and honestly, I don't care if someone bombs on stage for 4 minutes. It's only 4 minutes of my life. I have many more 4 minutes left. So I don't get what the fuck the judges are there for. It makes me feel, in fact, sitting in the audience, that like I have to be forced to laugh, because I like all the people who go up there and I want to hear the end of the story, but the fucking judges, whenever there's like a lull in the audience, they just kick the person off. So fucking stupid. Terrible experience, which is why I'm going right back next week. Because the performing part, I hate watching it. I love the stand-ups. I hate watching the judges kick people off. But the reason I'm going back is because I want to get back up on stage again. I, of course, got kicked off like 10 seconds into my set. But I got everybody in the room laughing, which was a pretty good feeling. The stage was electrifying, honestly. And yeah, and I mean, like, if the judges want to fuck me over, then they can fuck me over. I don't give a fuck. It's kind of like, well, I'll make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself here. Yeah, it's kind of like, like what I said before, you know. Even though I was butt raped on stage last time, at least I was butt raped by the one I love, stand-up comedy. And, you know, when you get butt fucked by someone you love, even when it's bad, it's still pretty good. So, let's see. I went to LA recently. Took a long drive down to LA. And it's like a 5-6 hour drive. I have my plan all set up. You know, I have like Korean face masks in my humidifier in my car, right? So I could stay hydrated, moisturized, just something to do, right, on the car ride. It was a long car ride. I have my podcasts, my Conan podcasts that I save. It's like a good hour 40 minutes, you know. Music, you know, I have my BTS concert. That's like 3-4 hours of amazingness. That's great. But as I was driving down, maybe like a quarter of the way through, I saw this car in front of me, and they were really close in front of me because I was tailgating them, because I'm an asshole. And they saw me tailgating them, so they rolled down their window, looked straight into my eyes. You know, mind you, I'm in the car behind, but we locked eyes, right? Like a very romantic, you know, scene from The Notebook, through his driver's mirror, and you know, me looking at the mirror. And he rolled his window down, and he fucking flipped me off this way. He didn't even have the decency to flip me off upward, you know? Just like, go fuck yourself sideways. And what happened next, there was this pickup truck hauling some equipment, right, in the back. There's this like attachment in the back. And this pickup truck, right, like they've probably been hauling for hours or even days. Probably really tired. They're both in front of me. Pickup truck goes to merge lanes. Well, the guy who flipped me off was in that same spot. And so they just started merging into each other. The asshole started getting driven off the road, right? Like goes crazy, right? Like road rage style. And then the asshole goes almost like, and the pickup truck realizes and gets back into their lane, but the asshole doesn't leave it there. The asshole goes and like goes into the pickup truck's lane, right? Like, hey, how you like this, right? Like, you try to kill me, I'll try to kill you. Nobody was trying to kill each other, but, you know, road rage. So then the pickup truck gets driven off the road, and the asshole guy goes back into the lane. And, you know, it was at that moment that I realized this guy's gonna be my entertainment for the next hour. So he did. I followed that guy for like a good hour and a half, just watching him swerve through, cut through all the traffic. And I was, you know, going just as fast. I wasn't swerving through all the traffic. In fact, every now and then, the asshole would go and swerve through all the traffic. But you know, on interstates, there's giant tractor trailers, like giant trucks, right? And they slow everybody down, mother truckers. And so, you know, just inevitably, the asshole would get stuck behind the trucks, and I'd eventually catch up. So I'd catch up, and I'd start tailgating him again. Hey, you remember me, asshole? And we did this at least like 6-10 times. Every time I'd get up close to him, like, hey, you remember me? All that weaving shit you did was like for naught. And I think eventually I burned him out. I actually burned him out, and he just slowed way the fuck down. And I slowed way the fuck down, and we sort of drove slow for a while, and then eventually I was like, oh, this is no fun, and then I passed him, and then never saw him again. Road rage. It's great entertainment on the road. I even, since I had those K-pop face masks for moisturizing, in that moment when, you know, the guy gave up, right, and I was finally gonna pass him, because I didn't want to pass him before the rage was over. I'm not here to race him. I'm here to meme on this fool. So I go close enough just to tailgate him again. I never pass him. But when he finally gave up, I was like, well, I gotta pass him because I have somewhere to be, you know? And in that moment, I was like, should I put on one of those K-pop face masks? You know, the ones that like is just all white and oval, and there's some eye holes and mouth hole and nose hole, like a serial killer. Like that mask that like Hannibal Lecter, the cannibal guy or whatever, and he gets locked up, like the mask that he wears. All the serial killer movies. And then I had this vision playing in my head. I was like, okay, I put it on, right? And then I just start, you know, the guy's right here, right? I go move in the lane, and then I just drive. And then I just stare him down as I'm passing. And my serial killer mask, these are the fantasies I have on the road. Man, when I finally got into LA, I was meeting up with some childhood friends, and I had my reservations about it. I remember explicitly going, man, you know, this childhood friend is such a prick. I don't know if I want to hang out with them. Turns out they were very friendly, and we both sort of like grown and grown our emotional maturity since, you know, last time we met. And they were very friendly. I had a wonderful time. They were really, really kind to me, more than kind to me. And I realized, oh, I'm the prick for thinking that they would be a prick and being afraid to come. But in my defense, I had a real reason for, you know, having hesitations, right? I still got this like PTSD thing that I'm still going through. And just meeting them, like that night I stayed over at a hotel, right? That night, just meeting them and like meeting childhood friends brought back my childhood and how triggering that is. And I remember literally in my sleep, I was in this gardening for some reason, I don't know. And then someone walks up to me, and I pick up this like metal pipe from the garden, and I go wham, wham, and I start beating them to death, you know, blood everywhere and shit. But I didn't get to see if they actually died or not, because the sound of my IRL fist beating the side of the bed, whap, whap, was so loud, and that bounce back was so hard that it woke me up in real life, like outside of the dream. Nightmare, I should say. So, yeah, I'm a certified psycho. Sociopath, not psycho. Scientifically more accurate. But let's see. Oh, crazy, crazy, crazy. You want to hear? I was just joking earlier about like pooping my pants on stage. That's not real. You want to hear the real time I actually pooped my pants? A long time ago. I was a lot younger back then, to be fair. I remember I was playing. I was playing my senpai's cat game, and I could feel it. I could feel it happening. I think I had like some food, sushi or something, right? And I could feel it, churning inside. And I was like, it's really addicting, this cat game. You like, manage little cat citizens and villagers, right? And you build up and you attack and defend and enemies and stuff. Anyways, and then I finally hit a saving point and I stood up and I was like, oh shit. And I did that, you do that waddle, right? Where you can't run because if you run, the shit's gonna, go all the way out. So I did that like that, kind of like that to try to keep my anus level, the whole time. And I didn't make it. It looked like a little pancake. Yeah. But yeah, I don't remember much of the story. I've wiped it from my memory. Also, it was a long time ago. It was almost like 3 weeks ago or something. Oh man. I had this thought. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor for assholes. Not a prostate doctor, but a doctor for like actual, or not actual, not literal, metaphoric assholes. I want to be like, have a bunch of assholes come in my office and then just like be able to diagnose them. Okay, you're an asshole, because like your daddy beat you, right? Or your mom never hugged you, or like I just want to diagnose these assholes, and then you're this type of asshole, right? Like you're the insecure asshole. You're the anger trigger, asshole. You're the anxiety, I don't know, whatever, right? All different types. And I just want, at the end, I want to be able to prescribe them a treatment, like, okay, for like the spoiled asshole, like the ones who become president. Spoiled asshole, I want to be like, I'm gonna prescribe you some trauma. Yeah, like go to this part of town, right, and live there, and like get rid of all your wealth and all your how everything, right, and just go live here and you need some trauma, like I don't know where I'm going with this. See, the problem with education these days, and the problem with kids these days, is kids don't get enough trauma growing up. Like you go back, I'm so bullshitting so much right now. Thousands of years, right? Like people get like chased by tigers and shit, and people like die of like, the friggin' diarrhea or something, or even like shootings and stuff, and war and shit, right? Natural disasters. But not enough. The problem with the world today is not enough kids experience those disasters, right? Either human-made or natural. So I would love to just be like an asshole doctor and just prescribe people trauma. Like you're gonna go. Never mind. That's too dark. Let's move on. I had this thought because for one thing, I'm an asshole, so would think I'm most qualified to be an asshole doctor because I am one. But gosh, sometimes you know when people like do something and it upsets other people, and then they apologize, but the apology is so half-assed that the apology is actually worse than the thing that they actually did. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sure it's happened to you before, right? Gosh, I had... See, one of the things that assholes do is they crap out a shitty apology. Yeah. And I was on the receiving end of this ass and shitty apology all over my face recently. And just to sort of lay it out, right? You know, this thing happened, it triggered a lot of my issues, right? Let's be clear, right? Like, I don't think the thing they did was, you know, extremely wrong, but it triggered a lot of shit in my head that made me feel very, very sick. And I told them that, and there's no easy way to tell people, right? Like, that what they did upset you, right? Because most people who aren't emotionally mature enough to handle that shit, they get defensive because they feel like that's a direct attack on their character. And if they don't have their character, who are they? What are they? Right? So most people, instead of going, oh, like, you know, maybe I did something wrong and introspect, they shut it off and go, I'm the good guy, you know, fuck you. Right? Or in this case, it was a shitty apology. And God, the shitty apology, you know, things like, hey, you know, I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry, you know, that me trying to help you upset you, or like me trying to make you laugh upset you, right? Or like, you know, the very condescending, like, you know, it's phrased in a way where it's like, your emotions are invalid. Why would you be upset, right? At this very clearly written out thing that I just had, right? That basically justifies my actions against how you're feeling. In gift wrapped in an apology box. And the reason that's worse, a shitty apology is worse than the actual thing, is like, you know, the original thing could just be, you know, someone's saying something careless, right? Or you know, honestly, it was just an issue that I had. So I didn't really blame them for it. But when that shitty apology flew into my face, it told me about this person's character. You know, like what I said before, right? Like the defensiveness, the lack of introspection, the insecurity, right? The and all that just to get to, like, you know, lack of empathy, because an empathetic person wouldn't give a shitty apology, right? An empathetic person would consider how the other person feels and not try to defend themselves right off the bat. And an empathetic person wouldn't give a shitty apology that makes the person feel worse, because, you know, they're empathetic. They're not set out to do that. And they're aware. That's the most important part. Like, a lot of emotional maturity is just being aware and, like, even having a reason to think about how the people feel first. I'm preaching all the shit. I'm guilty of not doing all of these things, of being like a terrible... I'm way worse than this other person is, by the way, that I'm talking about. So let's just be clear about that. But yeah, no. So the point of this whole story is it made me realize, me being a very terribly unempathetic person, right? Like, I couldn't fathom putting myself in somebody else's shoes. I couldn't fathom imagining how somebody else feels, or how what I say makes somebody else feels. But in that moment where I was on, you know, the back end, the rear end of their shitty apology, I was like, oh, honestly, it made me rethink all the shitty apologies that I made. Because I made so many, I can't count. There's so many shitty apologies. Like, that's my go-to. Like, that's how bad it is. Like, whenever I apologize, my go-to is a shitty apology. Like, it is not apologizing for what I did, but it's pointing out how stupid they are for feeling the way they feel. So, terrible person. But for the first time in my life, I was like, oh, so that's... maybe I'm starting to get it. So I went back. I have a long list of people I need to apologize for giving a shitty apology to. So I have a lot of work to do. I've only just started actually apologizing. You live and you learn. Therapist. Oh, so I had a therapy session recently. I think in my last set I talked about how my therapist was on strike, and good for them, and they won. Hooray! And I hope they get all the amazing benefits that they get, because therapists are underpaid, understaffed, overworked, right, and underappreciated, honestly. So yeah, that's great. So the day that my therapist came back from strike, I got an appointment with them. And the fact it was so quick that once news came out, like an hour, I booked an appointment for like 2-3 hours right after the decision came out. Everybody went back to work. So they weren't even expecting me to be there, right? Just like, hey, I have an appointment. Don't forget about me. And luckily, yeah. Anyways, one of the things we talked about was how noises piss me off. And I'm gonna like, how should I tell this story? Okay, I'll just continue with the therapy session first. So, noises piss me off, particularly whenever I'm on like hot mic. That's a fancy way of saying I'm talking in my living room. Whether I'm singing or whether I'm doing a stand-up here right now, right? Like, you've seen me so many times. I go, motherfucking fuck shit, cunt ass motherfucker, right? Fucking bullshit, right? Like every fucking... So I do that. I do that. Noises piss me off. And I talked to him. I talked to my therapist about it. And the therapist was so understanding. And in my opinion, like overly gentle even with treating me, right? With how they treated me and addressed me when I told them all this, crazy shit that I would do and say, right? These insane reactions I would have, banging on tables and shit, like beating things up. And so they were like, oh, like, is there a way that you can do this, right? Is there a way you could do that? Like, oh, yeah, I understand it's very annoying, right? Like, irritating, your feelings are valid. My therapist was very validating, very nice, right? And in my head, I kept fighting it. I was like, no, that's not right. That's not the way I want to deal with it, right? I want to be okay with the noise, And... my therapist, just suggested a bunch of ideas like, oh, like moving or just like communication or like, expressing, oh, can you not do this? Can you not do that? And I kept rejecting all those ideas. And eventually, I was like, yeah, I mean, like I don't know how it came up, but I just, mentioned, like middle of our conversation, that I'm in my living room. And then immediately the therapist was like, what? Konata? Konata what? You're in your living room? I'm like, yeah, I'm in my living room. My therapist was like, Konata. And just that look sends, that look, I was on video call, that look told me everything that I needed to know. The therapist could explain, and the emotions and the logic and the skills, right? I got everything I needed from that look. Just that look of like, are you fucking kidding me? That's literally what the therapist did, and he goes on to later explain, like, that's a public space. You're bitching about there being noise and people being in a public space, and he's like, and here's the gotcha. He was like, well, can you move into your own room? Like, do you have any privacy, right? A safe space? I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to. I have a room. You've seen it. I dance in there. I don't want to. I prefer the living room. I prefer making noise where everybody else is making noise. So basically, yeah, I don't think, aside from my parents, I don't think I've disappointed anybody that much. I don't think I've wasted, again, right? Like therapist time is very valuable, right? Like they're saving lives, they're helping people, they're helping not only one person, but they're helping the people who interact with the one person that they're helping, right? Like, I just wasted friggin' like at least like 15-20 minutes of my hour let's just say 30, right? Talking about how there's noise in the public space that is my living room. So I'm working on it. He gave me a few skills to use, right, to work on, and stuff like that. So, hey, we'll see. But I've been looking for ways to justify my behavior. So I came across this YouTube video, therapy video, and the term is, hang on, let me pull it up. What's it? How do I spell it? Misophonia. Yes. Misophonia. And it's not a fear of miso soup, as I originally thought. It's when sounds make you angry, basically. And I don't get pissed just from like sounds in my living room. I get pissed when, there's a leaf blower outside. I get pissed by shitty music videos, right? Shitty singing, shitty K-pop videos, right? Like I get so pissed about shitty music. Like it's insane. I'll start like smashing things and banging things, right? And go, fuck you fucking useless, right? Piece of shit. Are you fucking terrible, right? You fucking idiot, right? Making this musicality choice over this music choice, or maybe no choice. Dude, Justin Bieber triggers my misophonia more than anything in the entire world. So that's an example, right? Fucking Justin Bieber singing, and leaf blower and noise in my living room. Right, and nails on a chalkboard. That's how bad Justin Bieber is. So, anyways, there's no conclusion to that. Basically, all I found out was the research has just begun, which is great. I mean, the research just begun. They don't know anything about it. They don't know the root cause. They can suggest some treatments, and it's the same skills, right, that my therapist gave me. So that's cool. One of the big things was like, don't avoid it. Like there's another term for like sounds that make you anxious and sounds that make you angry. I'm in the angry camp, right? I go fight mode against everything, right? Like I'll murder you before you murder me. The sound. I'm talking to the sound. So but we do that because our brain is trying to like get away from the thing. But it's counterproductive in a spiral. Because if I like fight off the sound, then my brain goes, yeah, you should fight off the sound every time, right? Because in the end, I was safe, and I fought off the sound. Therefore, brain dumb goes, oh, I should fight off the sound every time so that I can be safe. When that's not the actual correlation. The actual correlation is just, I was safe all along, so I should just not fight off the sound, And that's part of the training is like, just do it enough where I rewire my brain to think, oh, these sounds are safe. I'm not going to get murdered. Because I used to be, in a very not safe place, with the threat of getting murdered a lot. So it makes sense. But yeah, no, I'm very grateful to be alive during this time. There's 3 things I'm grateful for, being alive in like the 2022, right? One is anime. The first one is anime, right? Living in the same time frame as anime. 2 is femboy VTubers, and 3 is therapy. So therapy science is super new, right? It's super helpful. Yeah. Speaking of, I had this random thought while I was in the bathroom or something, and I always thought, everybody giggles at 69, the number 69, because it's that. But what about 96? Like why does nobody pay attention to 96? Huh? Like 96 is just like 69, except 96 is the pose that you do when you're done doing the 69, and you're just sort of curled up into a ball, like crying and ashamed of yourself. I'm very proud of that joke. 69 joke. Yeah, I have really shitty memory. I was going up to bed last night, right? Like ready to turn in, showered, brushed my teeth, everything. And just like ready to just plop, right? Like plop on my bed, lay down, just go to sleep. and I stumbled upon this like toilet paper, this like what do you do? The strain of this, this line of toilet paper that was right next to my bed. I was like, huh, how'd that get there? I didn't put that there. Obviously, I put that there, but how did that get there? And I was trying to think back, like how like I don't remember how this toilet paper got there right next to my pillow on my bed, and it was all clean. Before you freak the fuck out. So, and I thought, oh, I mean, it must have been me, right? So then the next logical thought was, oh, it was me the night before, and I rolled out some toilet paper to get jiggy with it in my bed, and the sad thing is, this must mean I was getting ready to do it or already doing it, and then I forgot while I was doing it what I was doing, and then I fell asleep. Enjoy your youth, guys. This is what awaits you when you get old. You just forget that you're jerking yourself off and you fall asleep. Oh, life is fun. You guys been seeing the protest that's been happening in China? Wild. See, it gave me some thought, because I like to think about politics a lot. Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, gets his power from the economy. And I like to preach this a lot, and nobody likes to hear it. So I'm going to preach to you now. From the economy. He gets his power from the economy, right? Like, he built his power. People trust him. People work for him. People slave over... Well, okay, they don't get to choose, but in the military trusts him, right? Listens to him. Because when he's around, the economy goes up. And yeah, anyways, yeah. So Xi Jinping gets his power from the economy. Putin gets his power from the billionaire oligarchs. Right? So let me back up a little bit, actually. Actually, no, let's not back up. And America gets its power from racism. Yeah. Like in all three, right? Somebody's screwing somebody over, right? Xi Jinping's screwing the slaves and the working class and the poor people over, right? To lift up the middle and upper class. Putin, right, also fucks over all the poor and the people and steals their businesses, right? And makes their oligarchs billionaires. And America... gets its power from racism, gerrymandering, electoral college, building wealth. See, look, I know what I'm talking about because I've watched Trevor Noah for 7 years, and I know now that everything is racism. Speaking of racism, aren't Chinese people just like the white people of Asia? I had this Vietnamese friend who just commented while we were eating lunch. Vietnamese people are just the Mexicans of Asia. Now, I'm a closet racist. So in my position, you can understand the difficulty I was having. Like, how do you respond to that, right? How do you be racist but not show people you're racist? Hence the closet racist. Do you say yes, right? Well, yes, I don't know, that sounds racist, but you say no. I mean, that sounds even more racist. You just like do nothing, right? That's never good. Like if you've ever like played a walking simulator and it gives you the choices in the video game, right? Like doing nothing is always the worst. So you get eaten by a monster. Right? I don't want to get eaten by a monster. Oh, dude, I'm so racist that I asked Siri. This is just last night. I asked Siri, how do you say sushi in Mexican? It's sushi, by the way. The sad thing is that's not even what I said. What I actually said was, "Hey Siri, how do you say Mexican in sushi?" And then the craziest thing was Siri replied like, "Mexico Jean." Siri. God, everybody's racist. Even Siri's racist. No, but seriously, I'm like hooked on Mexican sushi. And you might be thinking to yourself, Konata, why? Why are you being so specific? Why are you like, pushing all the fucking buttons? This is funny. And it's funny because racism exists. You know? If racism didn't exist, this wouldn't be ridiculous. Like, we're in on all the stereotypes that no one talks about. Why not? I love them. See, listen to me. There's actually 8 stages of grief. There's like your denial, there's your anger, there's your depression, there's your acceptance, and then there's your laugh your ass off at it phase after acceptance. No, I'm very stupid, angry, and racist. It's not what you think. I voted for Obama, but whether you're like racist and vote Republican, or secretly racist and vote Democrat, I think racism is the one thing that all Americans share and can bond over. You know? Like, yeah, I believe racism is a thing that unites us all. Quoting the words of an ancient wise man from the biblical teachings of Netflix comedy specials, Dave Chappelle, quote, "America can never beat China because everybody in America is racist. And everybody in China is Chinese." It's hard to be racist when everybody's the same race, you know what I mean? America is the most diverse and racist country in the world. America! Alright, that's the end of my set. Have a good night.